Francis I is bad news for the drive-by media. He is adamantly opposed to abortion. He is adamantly opposed to euthanasia. He has called the pro-choice movement a culture of death. He opposes same-sex marriage, which he has called demonic in origin. He opposes gay adoption on the grounds that it is discriminatory to the child. He opposed Argentina's legalizing of same-sex marriage. He called it a real and dire anthropological throwback. He was exiled by the Cristina Kirchner government. He was dispatched to the northern climes and the outposts of Argentina. He literally was cast out by the government. And you know who rescued him? John Paul II. John Paul II, as I understand it, he's a protege, by the way, of John Paul II. John Paul II rescued Pope Francis from what essentially was internal exile. And he was made Archbishop of Buenos Aires. And this just happened in the early 2000s, not very long ago. The man had basically, the Argentinian government had basically taken this pope, cast him out. He was teaching math. He was teaching high school math in small little towns in northern Argentina because he refused to go along with the Kirchner, the Cristina Kirchner at present, and her husband, who was her predecessor. He refused to go along with any of the cultural modernization. And as such, they had nothing to do with him. And the Jesuits, of which he is one, had many left-wing members, and they were eager to cast him out, which they did. Oh yeah, there are left-wing and right-wing Jesuits. There are left-wing and right-wing Catholics, as you know. And this man, if you had to categorize him, you would have to call him. I really don't like doing this, but if it will help facilitate, it'll help people understand, it would be accurate to say that he is a conservative. He's a conservative theologian. I had somebody that I really trust in these matters, a Catholic who is in Rome, tell me today that in their opinion, Pope Francis is the Catholic equivalent of our founding fathers on federalism. But I find it fascinating that he refused to accede, refused to go along with any of the cultural modernization, which was same-sex marriage, contraception, abortion on demand. And the Jesuits, the left-wing Jesuits working with the Kirchner government, basically threw him out. And he's rescued by John Paul II, made Archbishop of Buenos Aires and then a cardinal, and almost became pope when Benedict became pope. But the people that put him up, he didn't want to be pope. The people that put him up for pope in the conclave in 2005 were simply trying to block Benedict. And they failed. He's not crazy about being pope now, apparently. But he accepted it. You know what he did today? 12 hours after becoming pope, he got in a small little typical Italian putt-putt car. He went to the hotel where he was staying during the conclave and picked up his bags and then went to a local church which is devoted to the Virgin Mary and prayed. This is stuff that presidents and popes dispatch underlings to go do. You know, go get my bags. They're over at the hotel. Bring them back here to my papal apartment. He dressed up in his official pope togs and got in a car and drove over to this little hotel where he was staying, nothing fancy, picked up his own bags and went to church and went back to the Vatican. He also has said, I read some of the things this man has said, and don't get the wrong idea. I'm just telling you why I like this so far. I'm reading things that he said that I have authored in the Undeniable Truths of Life. One of my undeniable truths of life is that senior citizens, I'm paraphrasing my own truth, I don't have it right in front of me, senior citizens are among the most valuable resource we have for our young people. And, of course, young people throw the elderly away. They laugh at them. They're old-fashioned fuddy-duddies, don't know what they're talking about. To the young, every old person has Alzheimer's. To the young, every old person has Parkinson's. This man said that the elderly are the seat of wisdom in any society, is how he put it. He says adoption by homosexuals is how he put it. He says adoption by homosexuals is a form of discrimination against children, which is why you're only going to be hearing about the aspects of his life I just described, this common man, everyday man life. This is not what they were hoping for. The Vatican apparently is a mess too. The Vatican Curia, the White House, if you will, the administrative aspect. One of the first things that he's going to do when he really sits down and gets serious, there's a 300-page report on all of the corruption, the backstabbing, the basic disintegration of the administration of the Vatican, all the petty politics. There's a report done that details it all, and he's going to be charged here with making the appropriate changes if he deems them necessary. But I found it fascinating that he was willing to stand up to an entire government in Argentina, cast aside, ends up teaching math, high school math in small little towns, and was essentially rescued by Pope John Paul II. Let's go some audio sound bites. And let's illustrate some of what is out there in the drive-by media. We will start with, this is a montage, actually. We have Chris Cuomo of CNN, Shannon Bream of Fox, Aaron